Third graders, to start our lessons on forces and motion, we opened up with our men going golfing. 3 friends went golfing. They each have different ideas about forces that act on a golf ball, and this is what they think. Finn thinks forces act on the golf ball only when the golfer hits the ball. And if I remember right, most of you agreed with Finn, right? Mm-hmm. You're thinking that those forces were acting on the golf ball only when someone was hitting it. Pete says forces act on the golf ball only when the ball is on the tee. A few, I think 2 people stood up for that one. And then Tad thinks forces act on the golf ball when it is on the tee and when the golfer hits it. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think now, after we've gone through these lessons and we've learned about force and examples of force and what force is and where we can see it, who do you agree with now? And I'm going to give you a moment of think time to think about who you agree with, and I want you to try and justify why. Why do you agree with that person now? So coming back together, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think even more people this time. Now think that for Finn, you would agree with Finn, forces act on the golf ball only when the golfer hits the ball. Brock has told us that it is a push. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
And Griffin is so close to coming up with what the name of it is as well. Do you know it now? Is it in your brain?
Connect forces.
So close. What is it called? Haley? No? He's really close. It's the type of force. In order to make something move, there's going to be something that touches it. It's a
contact force.
It's a contact force. Good. So you were right there. You were like he said a connect force. Good. Have a seat. That is an example of that contact force at work, right? So in order, Finn thinks that forces act on the golf ball only when the golfer hits the ball. We know that that's an example of a push, right? We know that's a contact force, that something was moving or causing force purely because we were able to hit it or moved it that way. Now let's move on though, because not everybody stood up. Pete thinks forces act on the golf ball only when the ball is on the tee. Anybody agree with that?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Griffin changed his mind on that one. Okay. But there are some people who would agree with Tad then, because they didn't stand up, that forces act on the golf ball when it is on the tee and when the golfer hits the ball. If you're that person, stand up. So explain your thinking to me, guys and girl.
What I think is, like I said last time, the ball can fall off the tee because when you put it on, it's still a little wiggly. But also when you hit it, it moves far.
Good. So we hit it. We just talked about if we're hitting the ball, we talked about what type of force that is, right? Mm-hmm. It's a push. It's a contact force. So we know that hitting the ball is an example of force. And Apollo's hanging on tight that there's going to be a force still when it's on the tee. What do you think, Alexa?
When you hit it on the tee, sometimes it will go high and it will go
Okay. I have a question for you. Or Aiden, explain your thinking to me.
My thinking is that if it's on the tee, there's still a force pushing it on.
What's that force?
The gravity of Earth.
I can't go unnoticed. Aiden, when the golf ball is on the tee, what force is working?
The Earth's gravity on the Earth.
When the golf ball is on the tee, what type of force do we see?
Gravity.
We can't see it. It's not a contact force. It's an uncontact force, but it's there. What's holding us to the earth?
Gravity.
What's holding that ball on the tee?
Gravity.
Force is always at work. It's always happening around us. We are being held where we are because of gravity. Gravity is a type of force. And we talked a little bit about it. You had a chance yesterday to explore more about it on your Chromebooks. but it's a force as well. So of course, yeah, you guys came up with great explanations for when you hit the ball, what type of force it is. But we want to recognize too that even if it's not a contact force, there is still a force in act, and it's gravity. At least gravity is working. If we didn't have that force, what would happen?
You would float away. That would
Float
be
away.
if I put that force there and there was no gravity, it would float away.
One thing I do have to adjust with that though, Aiden, is you said there is still a push. It is a pull. Gravity pulls us in. But that is awesome. We have gravity. Turn and tell your neighbor, or break down the explanation a little bit. Why is Tad right?
Tad, it's Pete. He's the one that said the only when the ball